Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create the look of weathered paint for your Halloween facade using glue and a wood block. To get started, I've made a small panel with 1/8 inch wood underlayment to recreate the look of clapboard siding. I'm going to start by coating it with a base layer of dark brown paint. This can be acrylic paint like I'm using here, or exterior latex paint if you're doing a larger surface, and the color is completely up to you. I recommend a darker shade so that there's more contrast between the base and top colors. This step doesn't have to be full coverage, since it'll create more of a layered look in your final piece, but you want to get most of your surface coated and brush strokes all pointing in the same direction. Once the base is dry, I like to add in a few spots of an optional accent color. When I'm faux painting an object, I like to take a moment to consider its story. I would ask myself questions like, how old is this house? Or how many people have lived here? Did they care for the house, or did they let it age without any upkeep? The addition of an accent color gives the appearance that it may have been painted a different color in the past, but that it had since been repainted before falling into disrepair. This type of addition may not be something that visitors notice, but it's definitely something that makes any paint job feel more authentic and helps create a stronger suspension of disbelief. Now the next 2 steps are going to happen pretty quickly, so you'll want to have all of your supplies at hand before you begin. When you're happy with the base paint and accents, you're going to coat the piece with wood glue or white school glue. Either type of glue will work, and this step will be the base for our crackle effect. I like to thin out my wood glue with a small amount of water so the consistency is like a loose syrup. The thinner the application of the glue, the more fine the cracks will be. The thicker the glue, the wider the cracks will be. I prefer the look of thinner cracks since they feel more authentic, but if thicker cracks are your thing, you can apply the glue straight from the bottle without thinning it down. You'll want to prepare more glue than you think you'll need, since this step should be done all at once. Because of how quickly the glue dries, you may want to do this step with a partner. Don't overwork the glue, and try to get as even a coat as possible for uniform cracking. It's okay to have some areas with less glue or no glue, since it will create a more random appearance. Once the piece is covered, you want to allow it to dry until it's tacky to the touch. I'm using a standard white paint for the top coat, but you can use any color you want as long as it's lighter than your base. With my small palette in hand, I'm going to pour out some paint and then dip the block into it, moving it around to get a fair amount of paint on the entire surface of the block before sliding it horizontally across the piece. Using the block helps to create the look of chipped paint. You can use any size wood block you have as long as it has one wide, flat surface. You can do this in multiple light passes, but resist the desire to work the paint around. You don't want to disturb the glue, and you want to get good, even coverage before the glue dries. Remember, you need to move quickly to get the full effect of the crackle before the glue dries. If you wait too long, you may not get enough, if any at all. Now with the top layer of paint applied, you can see the crackle starting to happen. This step can be sped up with a hairdryer, but it's likely to produce larger cracks. So if you want to have thinner cracks, you can just leave it to dry. Indirect heat is better than direct for a smaller crackle effect. While the piece is drying, let's talk a bit about the wood block. There's nothing special about this block. It's a 1x4 piece of scrap wood left over from another project. I've added a small handle to mine, but it's not necessary since you can just as easily hold it from the edges. I've flattened one surface on a belt sander, but you could use a piece of sandpaper on a flat surface if you don't have access to one. Now that the piece is dry, we're going to add a bit more weathering using a spray bottle with water and some matte black spray paint. Start by wetting down the entire piece with the spray bottle, and then lightly dust the spray paint over the surface. This application is very light. You may not even notice it. What's happening in this step is that the paint that lands on the dry portions of the piece will stay behind, and the paint that lands on the water droplets and streaks can be washed away by rinsing it with water. This step, like the accent paint color earlier, is completely optional, but does really add some great visual texture. In our final step, we're going to wet down the surface once again. Grab our palette and mix up some of our brown base color and a bit of moss green to create a really dingy medium brown. With a damp brush, you're going to apply paint along the top edge of each board, allowing the paint to spread and run down the face of the piece. Use the spray bottle to encourage the paint to run and drip to get your desired look. If the streaks are too heavy, use the spray bottle to dilute the paint even further. Some people like to use black paint for this step, but I prefer this medium brown-green color since it more closely resembles environmental grime. Well, that's going to be it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to the next time I put out a video. And until then, happy haunting!